All right.
Oh.
You wanted to go first? Go.
Go ahead.
Handshake. You do it.
Okay, welcome back. If you just joined us, you're watching Daybreak. We're live on Citizen TV. We're about to get into the paper review, and to help us do this, a panel with a difference. Forget about your MPs and your analysts. Today we have quite a young and fresh team here with us, and they'll be helping us take a look at some of the issues in the paper. I'll start with, on their far right, we have Shix Kapienga, radio presenter and actress. Karibu sana.
Asante sana.
Inside joke, she's early. Is it early by 1 week?
Yeah. She finally made it a week later.
Some of her fans were waiting for her last week, but she joins us today. Asante sana. Kambua Mathu, gospel artist and TV host. Yeah. Welcome to the program.
Thank you.
She usually features in another studio in this same premises on a different day.
Yeah.
And welcome to our studio today.
Thank you so much. It's good to be here.
Good. Mark Kaigwa, he is a digital entrepreneur and the founder of Nendo as well. Welcome.
Happy to be here.
And last but not least, DJ Piera McKenna, a DJ, I already said that, and a media personality as well. Welcome.
Thanks for having me.
And of course, to our viewers, you can engage with us. 22422 is the SMS line. The hashtag is Daybreak, and you can call in. The essential number is
0719 777 777. We'll run the rest of the numbers just underneath your screen, so do not panic. Just call in whenever you see them. You can also text in 22422, hashtag Daybreak, like he mentioned, at Trevor Mbija, at Waiga Moura, at Zinzi K. We'll sample some of your views during this broadcast. As usual, let's start with the front page of the Daily Nation. Moi hit with 1 billion shillings fine for land grab. There's a lot that's still going on there. We had earlier on run you through the entire scenario, but what I want our guest to weigh in on is MPs reject allowances refund order. Speaker Justin Muturi says the Salaries and Remuneration Commission is discriminating against legislators in the awarding of monthly packs. This is coming at a time when MPs wanted house allowances, which was backdated. So all of them earned about 1.2 million shillings. Wanted and got. And they did get it. SRC wants them to refund it. They're saying not going to happen. Shakes.
It's sad. Very sad. As in, there's no way watu wanaongezwa mshahara. And guys, yeah, teachers, walimu wameongezewa, by the way. Bado. Nurses, bado. Lakini watu wanataka house allowance.
Yeah, 250,000.
250,000.
Now yes.
One of the SMSs that we actually got yesterday was when teachers and nurses want allowances, it's a crime.
Yeah.
When MPs want allowances, they get them.
It. Yeah. And it's backdated.
It's really sad, imagine. It's really sad. It's sad. As in inaudhi. As a Kenyan, we'll say tumezoea, it's fine, ni sawa tumezoea, but deep down, it's really bad, because also kwa ekonomi yetu tukiangalia hatusongi ama MPs hakuna kitu wanafanya. Just to mean, but a few, wengi ni wenye wanafanya kazi, wachache ni wenye wanafanya kazi yao, you know, but they're very the rest, oh my god, nothing. And I can't give me.
Kambua, what do you make of it?
I honestly feel like it's animal farm in our country, where you know, all animals are equal, but some are more equal than others. Yeah. Because it doesn't make sense why people who are serving the country, there's some who will always get their way. They bulldoze their way into getting. I mean, now they've gotten the house allowances and whatever. Next year or in the next few months, there'll be something else that they'll be asking for, and they'll probably get it. It's actually it's annoying. I think it's also unfair for people who actually deserve to have their salaries increased. People in Kenya are living in crazy poverty levels, you know, and then we have the people who are the front line, the ones who are supposed to be fighting for the people, just fighting for themselves. So, but it also makes me ask myself, who got them into those positions, you know? So we also have a responsibility to...
Is it not the voter?
Exactly.
Which is people like us around this table?
Yes. So...
We'll still take them back, by the way.
Unfortunately, we will be back here saying, who got those guys in there? But it's us.
They say, look in the mirror. Yes. Who got those guys in? Yes. Mark, this is how MPs defend themselves. Some say other state officers get housing allowances, we don't. Others say every weekend we become fundraising vehicles. You know, everywhere we go, harambes, funerals, you name it, we have to keep giving. So we need to find a way to replenish our resources so we can do that as well. Do you buy into any of that logic?
Well, I think obviously if they say it, you have to, at some level, take them at their word and say that it's true. I think the question that Kenyans are probably asking themselves is, we live in the same country, so within the same economy, and there'll be a question of performance. Now, obviously, in the August House, performance is how many bills and motions and drafts and so on, but the question there is this idea of kind of trickle-down politics, right? Other pieces of paper, the Mr. and Madam Speaker mentions all focused around Kenya and advancing that for the people that they represent. Now the fundraisers are, right? But I think the core question people are having here isn't so much even about the allowances, because in truth, that's out of actually our control. They can actually get this and maintain this. And obviously there's the SRC and there's the back and forth. I think it's a question of actual value for the time and the representation that they provide. And I'm obviously not taking anything away from the complex legal processes and everything it takes to make, I think, like history or an impact in that house. But everyday Kenyans want it simplified outside of the Harambes in the actual week. If the weekends are the Harambes, what's the 5 days in between? And
what's going on there?
And how does that basically translate?
DJ, what do you think?
You just call me a DJ.
Because that just messed up the entire conversation.
You know, yeah. And
the reason, I'll tell you why I called you that in just a minute. Yeah, go ahead.
All right, you know, for me it's pretty different. You know, I thought about it when you asked that question earlier, and I was like, what's the difference between the MPs, the nurses, and the teachers? Yeah. Why are we judging them so harshly? You know, they've given their excuse, they need to go for these mchangos all the time. But until you see they forced their way, then I'm like, oh, that makes sense then. If the nurses can force their way, then that makes sense. It's okay. But then if the nurses are going to the streets, then I think the MPs should go to the streets as well. Let it be hard for them so they can understand and feel how it is hard for the teachers and for the nurses and for everybody else. But if it comes easy for them, then there's a question there.
So you're concerned about sort of discrimination?
Yes.
Of some sort. If you're in this job group, you can get an allowance when you feel like you need one, but if you're on this other end, it is a long battle to get that little amount of money.
Yes, not fair. Okay. I'm not questioning what they do.
So here's why I called you DJ. On the front page of the Daily Nation, there's still a part of that aha career moment when they say career paths are rarely linear or predictable, but often unpredictable. So they talk to 5 youngsters who shared the moments and opportunities that gave them a break. If you look at the people out there right now, the youth out there, those who are in school, they always think that it's going to work out a particular way. And if it doesn't, they fall into depression, they fall into characters that are not necessarily their own.
That's true.
When you were growing up, did you always want to be a DJ?
Never ever thought about it. I always wanted to be a pediatrician.
I wanted to be a pediatrician?
I would have been there in the streets. You know, but no, I wanted to be a pediatrician. I was very, very sure my dad was a doctor. I always used to admire it. And even when I finished my Form 4, somebody from one of the channels came for me in school, and I was doing my high school, and then they were like, come, we have a show for you. I did not know what TV was. So it got me excited. Instead of joining KMTC, I joined KMC, and here I am. And then I started finding music interesting, celebrities exciting, and all that, and then I found myself here. But I was like, you know what? If that's a direction that can give me money, that can make my career, why not? I didn't decide, you know what, I have to do this, I have to do this. No. But in future, I plan to have a children's home because I still have that dream of taking care of children and just seeing children smiling. So it's just something that's within. But that did not mean that I got depressed over, oh, I'm now no longer going to be a pediatrician, I'm a DJ, I'm a TV host, you know, no.
So what would you say to the young people out there in universities who are thinking, if I don't get a white-collar job, that's it?
Oh, come on.
I mean, this is what I want.
You know, I always say, I've worked for so long.
People confuse it with passion and skill. They say, this is my passion, it's what I studied. If I don't do it, then I can't do anything else. You
know, for me, I was like that, actually. I always thought, I mean, I've worked at the agency for forever. And it got to a time when I was like, I need to do something that I love, something for my own, you know? And you realize sometimes, if you've decided to take this kind of path, maybe, you know, you die for that end month check. And then you realize when you do other things on the side, you might actually make more than you're making for someone else. You wake up and you're like, let me make that check for myself and for, you know, to grow me, not to grow someone else. So it's not bad not to, I mean, to work for someone else, but it's good to grow yourself. So you don't have to say, for maybe 20 years, since I turned 25, I've been growing somebody else and not me. So what I believe is, don't be stuck up. Don't be stuck up on something. If you want to be a broadcaster, don't be stuck on that. If it doesn't work, if you want to be a DJ, be a DJ. But if it hits the fan, you know, wake up, go start farming. Tomatoes are selling nowadays.
So reinvent yourself.
Like, reinvent it. Be happy about it.
Let me throw this question to the other panelists. I might not be able to get all your comments, but is anybody here doing what they wanted to do when they were younger?
I am.
You are?
Yes.
You stayed on the path?
Yes.
How?
You know, I always knew that I wanted to do music, and I knew that I always envisioned what kind of platform I want to do my music at. So I was singing in church as a little girl, I was singing at home, I was singing at every family function. So I had the dream. I didn't know how the pieces would fall in place though. What was challenging about that is that music, the arts, we're only starting to find our place in the society. It was not something that is respected. I had numerous conversations with my parents, especially my dad, who was, you know, in education and then later in medicine. You know, we had numerous conversations of what will you do with your music? How will you put food on your table? You know, and they were concerned as parents, is this what we really want our daughter to do? Because she'll be suffering. You know, there had been all these legends who come before us, and they died poor. They died poor because of music was not, or the arts were not respected in Africa. So that was my challenge. But you know, music had always been the fire in my belly, has always been, has continued to be. And I think that it's important to stay true to what you're passionate about, but also being flexible, you know, not being like, if it doesn't work like this, because the path did not go the way I thought it would. I never knew that I would be doing a TV show, for example. But all these curves and whatevers have still led me to the dream.
Yeah, the vision remains the same, but the path has meandered.
Exactly.
You know?
So being open to knowing it might not come the way I imagine, it could even be better. But you have to be open-minded when you're committing your dreams to God, or when you're just writing down what you want to achieve, knowing that I will get here, but I might have to go farm those tomatoes first to get the money to produce that album. Yeah. So yeah, that's my take.
All right, Mark.
Yeah, I think that like it is on the papers, you're just going to have a lot more non-linear careers. I mean, a lot of experts now who are looking at the job market are saying that the actual careers of the next decade, we can't foresee or predict them. People who are turning 18 this year were born in 2001. And so just let that sink in. They don't know a world without M-Pesa.
I mean, nobody here is turning 18 this year.
How do you know?
Some years of experience.
You reacted.
No, but it's this idea that now this next decade, right? You look at everything from lending apps to technology to how dependent and reliant we are on it. There's people who may have, you know, found an alternate stream of income, helping people out. There's a report we just published where people pay, this is just stay with me, 50 shillings to get WhatsApp installed for them.
What?
And
I think I know a few people.
And this is that idea of like what we call the intermediary. And this is in Nairobi today. So as much as these technologies have gotten into our purses and our pockets.
Doesn't believe you.
No, it is.
He's looking at you like, is this guy
There's
for
somebody
real?
who wrote and said that he actually is like, you know, 50 shillings is not even a lot. He's like, I charge 200 shillings and on a bad day, I have 8 people. And this is a bit up country, but that's just the world we're in. Now, some of those opportunities, that's somebody who all they're doing is sitting here saying, you know what, give me a phone. Oh, you just wait here just a second. Let me go in the back now. We know what they're doing. But it's that idea that person has made a career. Wow. They might not have studied ICT. They may not have the diploma, right? They may have a more informal upbringing, but their passion for technology and maybe the exposure to a cyber cafe attendant who's going to look the other way instead of charging them per shilling. I think for me, I see the impact of technology and the things it opens up. But you know, you can't have technology without the electricity, the connectivity, and some of those other things.
Shakes, to wind up the hustle path.
Mimi sina sebede. Labda mnakorogea kizungu hapa mnakorogea.
Wewe mtu ajisort tu, wewe hustle yako ni ile jipange.
Hapa hapa nimeza ulimi.
Usijiume.
I mean, I say tu, if you feel like unaenda job, ukifeel unafanya kazi, then I don't think uko place yenye unafaa kuwa. Kivyangu.
So mpaka sasa leo wewe feel kama unafanya kazi.
Sasa vile umeamka sasa hivi. You know, kana jibamba. Sasa mimi niko tu sawa. Utaniambia shiku zile job. Nilikuwa job. Because I'm enjoying what I'm doing, you know. So long as you enjoy what you're doing, there's no day that you'll feel like you're working.
But you see, there's a young person who after 3 months will say, Shik said, you have to enjoy what you're doing.
So missy feeling
nimeshoka.
Okay, hapo umefanya pox sema hivyo. Sisemi hivyo. That's not what I'm saying. All I'm saying, yes, you're misquoting me. please, as in, if you really need to work hard, at the end of the day, you really need to work hard. You really need to work hard and get food on the table. Lazima ungangane. Kama ni talanta yako itakuletea food kwa meza, pambana nayo. You know, if it's acting that's going to bring food on the table, that's what I'm going to do. But if you're good also, pale hivyo nyuma ya makompyuta uko tu hapo hivyo kwa hapa, hiyo pia ni poa. Kama kazi yako ni kwenda pale hivyo and being a leader. I'm not saying being a boss. I'm saying being a leader. If that's your position, then ifanye vile inafaa. Unajua, job ingine pia fanya hivyo. Ngangana, hii town si niachia macho. Acha hiyo my friend.
Nikujipanga my friend.
Nikujipanga.
All right, let's take a quick break here on Daybreak. When we come back, we're talking about cyberbullying. The question we're asking is, how should one person deal with cyberbullying? How do you deal with it? Most people say that deactivate account. Most people say block them. Wajibu. So how do you deal with it? And they'll also share with us the experiences.
There's also cyber stalking, and cyber threatening. So how do you know what's happening to you?
Exactly.
Yeah.
22422 is the SMS line. 0719 777. Call in at Trevor Mbija at Citizen TV Kenya. At Waiga Mwaura will sample some of your views in the next few minutes when we start that discussion on Social Square. We'll move from the serious conversation
a cool set right behind
into a
us.
cool set. We'll show you in just a bit.